Tap on in, man. We with the business, man. You know this show right here is gonna ruffle some feathers, but do I care? Absolutely not. That's what happens when you make content that's rooted in reality. Bless the like button, family. This podcast right here, I gotta clean off my camera lens. Hold on one second. Let me clean off my camera real quick. Hold on. This particular broadcast is gonna piss a lot of individuals off. But hey, man, it is what it is. If you in your feelings, go to therapy. Go get some emotional counseling. Huh. It ain't my job to coddle you in your feelings. I'm gonna give it to you raw, pure, and uncut. That's the only way I know to give it. So tap on in, make sure that you bless that like button, and we're gonna get right into it. Hold on, let me do something real quick. I gotta fix the lens real quick. Shout out to everybody for tapping in. Oh yeah, man. Back with another one. I appreciate you for the hundo, my brother. Shout out to Nata. Nata always be coming through, man. Showing that love, man. He just blessed us with 100 spot to sponsor the show, man. So much love and appreciation for that. Now I wanted to go over this thing. Now I talked about this before, but I wanted to go into more detail with this one about Snoopy Badass and what he had to say. Some people gonna say, man, Snoopy this, Snoopy that. Right? Listen, Snoopy Badass is not 100% wrong and he's not 100% right. He told a lot of truths, but at the same time, some of these things could also be challenged. Some of these things are not factual. It just depends on who you are, your experience, and what you have seen. You did. So we're gonna excuse me, we're gonna get into this show, man. We're gonna let the people get up. I gotta wipe my lens off, man, because I got a lot of dustiness on the lens, and we're gonna get to it, man. He said them dudes with he crazy. He said them dudes in the pic with the tattoos look rainbow. Mm. Hey man, it is what it is. So when I slide on through with this game, don't hesitate, don't wait. Bless the like button. You already knowing it ain't nothing. Let's get to the facts. Yeah. So we're gonna let the people get up in here, man. You know, as I we got a lot of new subscribers and a lot of the old subscribers fell off. It don't matter. They choose up like women. People choose up every day, beat. So I'm not matter. You got old subscribers who fall off. You got new subscribers who come in. You dig what I'm saying? So we're not worried about that. You know, he said, all gas, no brakes. Let's get it. Royal T, you already know what to do, family. Yeah, man. You know, a lot of these subscribers, they choose up like women. They get pissed off with the new people they follow, then they come back over here. You know, they subscribe to a new channel. They like what they're saying. They choose up with them. They cough up the fee, a choosing fee with the new channel that they fell in love with. Then the moment that channel pisses them off, they come dragging their ass right back over here. And I'm like, damn, fool, I ain't seen your ass in 2 or 3 months. Oh man, nah, nigga, you chose up. You chose up. Don't come with that. I just been working hard and that's why I haven't been over here rocking. Nah, you chose up. You got pissed off with the people you chose up with, so you brought your ass back over here. Come on, homie. Don't think you think I don't understand the game. I've been doing this too long, man. I know what it is. Go gadget. What it do, man? Down on Pookie Trump. Shout out to everybody in the chat that's been rocking. Yeah. Got over there, seen them fools over there with their choosing shoes on. You done coughed up a choosing fee. Now you want to run over here back to me. Yeah. Shout out to Royalty, man. What it do? What it do? Yeah, man. I trust me, man. I see a lot of these people, man. They. But anyway, we're not gonna make this about them. I just wanted to clown around a little bit before I dove into the conversation. That's it. That's all. Just a little bit of small talk. Gonna put paint where it ain't. King Supreme doing what most can't. You dig what I'm saying? You know? Yeah. You got fools with choosing shoes on. You know? You know what I mean? Take a chance to get in advance. You dig what I'm saying? Out with the out with the foul and with the new. Get down with the real. The truth is a bitter pill. You already know on the deal. King Supreme gonna give you the real spill on a daily basis. You dig? Giving you medication for mind elevation. What's the medication? Game. What is the game? Knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. That's what I am giving you. Let's see what Snoopy Badass had to say about this Black and Chicano issue. Now, I spoke on this before, but I wanted to come back and add some things to this. And on top of that, man, shout out to Deuce M's, man. Shout out to Dumbo and Keyway Conversations. The brother has some real things to say. I'm going to use one of his clips. I forgot to tag him in the title. I think we're going to do that.
To finalize what we talked about with this whole street code or F the streets movement going on, what else did you think about this whole situation, specifically when it comes to the West Coast?
Man, it's time for LA to do something new, bro. You know what I'm saying? That these old ass crusty gangs is played the fuck out. The street code is dead. Ain't nobody really honoring it. If people was really honoring it, homie, then guess what? Would nobody be on the internet talking about hood politics? Because what was created in the dark was to stay in the dark. You know?
Now, I agree with that, but this is where times have changed though. This ain't like the 90s or the early 2000s where you can hit the block with a pound, flip that in 2 days, and now you got a couple of racks. You doing your thing. The dope game dried up. A lot of the hustle game have dried up. So you got a lot of gang members and gang bangers coming to the internet trying to make money off of hood politics. When in reality, hood politics is supposed to be for the street. You leave hood politics in the hood. But when you can't sell dope no more, you living with this 300-pound woman you living with a 300-pound woman that's making threats to put your monkey ass up out of the house. So you thinking like, well, damn, man, the job is slow. The hustle game is slow. Let me hop on the internet and talk about some hood politics. Maybe I can make some money doing that. So that's why you got so many gang bangers and street cats in general gossiping about stuff on the internet that they ain't got no damn business talking about in the first place. Let's move on with the content, though. Yeah, that fat woman, she ready to put your ass out. So to avoid all of that, man, I might as well hop on the internet and tell some hood stories, tell some, give people a few prison stories. Maybe I can make some money doing that. Now you have gang members exposing all of their business, exposing all of their hood politics, telling you who's a snitch from their hood, who can't come back to the hood, who went PC in the county, who couldn't walk the main line in the pen. So now they got to gossip about hood politics in hopes to make money. It's sad, but that's what's really going on now.
I'm saying, for me, it's too much selective politicking, and I want to give a shout out to my boy Bandana the Rag. For me,
back in the 90s, man, gang members used to run away from cameras. Of course, you had documentaries where some guys did get on camera, but most gang members didn't want to be on camera. Most gangbangers in the 90s, and not just gangbangers, street cats in general, hustlers, players, a lot of pimps, street cats in general really didn't like cameras that much back in the 90s, even in the early 2000s. But now that you have social media, you can make money off social media. Everybody's gossiping, everybody's exposing hood business in hopes to make money. Why? Because a lot of these cats live with a 300-pound female that's ready to put them out. She talking crazy to you. She telling you you ain't her kid's daddy. This ain't your house. You don't help her with enough bills around there. She ready to put you out. So you know you got this 300-pound woman on your headpiece every day. Every day she lets you know that that is her house and it ain't yours, and you can get out whenever she feel like it. That woman is flexing her power. She's letting you know that you don't run nothing in that household, but you don't run nothing in that household but your mouth. Your name ain't on the lease. Your name ain't on none of the bills. Your name ain't on the lease. She can put you out whenever she feel like it, and she knows that. And every chance she gets, she flexes her power to let you know. So don't get it twisted for 1 second. A lot of these gangbangers that's telling all these hood stories and these prison stories, they're living off some fat woman that's ready to put them out, bro. I promise you that. I promise you that. And that ain't no diss. I'm giving you the unfortunate reality, man. You're living off some 300-pound woman. She got other baby daddies. One of her baby daddies is in prison. You just got out of prison and you living in this woman's house. Yeah.
The statement when I said that Crips didn't even fight the Sedanios for the blue rag and the same for the Bloods and the North Daniels, that was actually his quote. You feel me? And I felt it when he told me, homie, and I just felt like I had to come on here and tell you and repeat it, homie, because that's real though, bro. These niggas don't stand, these dudes don't stand on nothing, bro. You know what I'm saying? And I want to let everybody know, Red Mafia family is not a gang. You feel me? Red Mafia family is a wall. It's Snoopy Badass's wall. It's for the people that I love and the ones that love me back. Feel what I'm saying? Feel me? For me to know that you not an enemy and you friend, not foe, you down with the Red Mafia family movement, homie. It's not we don't, even though the color is red, we are not part of no Bloods, none of that bullshit. I don't want connected to any of that because I don't believe in it. It's too much karmatic baggage that come with that. You feel me? Niggas is receiving karma for things that happened before they was born by claiming alliances to all this bullshit. RMF stands as long as an independent brand and a wall and a family for people that with me. You know what I'm saying? And if you RMF, you definitely feel like the street code and the streets, bro. Straight up. And I wanted to make that clear. For me? And Bloods. Y'all didn't fight the North Daniels and the Blood Dogs for the red rags. So shut up when you see me with my red rag. RMF, nigga. And that's where I stand
Snoopy,
with that.
I'm glad you.
Well, Bloods don't own a red rag. Crips don't own a red rag. Norteños don't own a red rag. Serranos don't own the blue rag. You know, they just don't. Now, I get what you're saying, but that's like, nah, bro. That ain't nobody finna fight for that, homeboy. You know what I mean? Hit the like button. Let's get back to the content, though.
Kind of went back there because there was a question that I had to ask you because of a whole topic that's really turning up about the West Coast and these podcasts, right? So what is up? A lot of people across the country, they really don't understand the friction between black and brown out there on the West Coast. Like, what is the deal with that? Because recently there was a podcaster who said some very disrespectful and derogatory things towards the black community when talking about blueface. He used a derogatory term, right? And then it started this whole thing, man.
The black man ain't scared of the Mexicans, so I'm going to clear up a lot of that stuff. Now, you got people that's scared in every group. I met some blacks who were scared. I met some scary blacks, some scary whites, some scary Mexicans. Now, to say that blacks in general are scared, no, that's not the case. Blacks just need more organization, right? And I'm going to get into that. I'm going to get into why your blackness is more important, because protecting your blackness is what's really important. And I'm going to dive into that in a second. But I want to hear things from Snoopy Badass perspective for why he feel like blacks are scared of Mexicans. And I'm going to break it down. I'm going to go into descriptive detail about all this stuff that's been going on, that a lot of you people who are not from Los Angeles, you've been hearing this stuff, you're listening to it. When I'm going to fill you in and put some paint where it ain't. Deliver game that most can't.
So what is the situation out there?
And I'm sorry to be the one to say this, you know, and but 75% of Hispanic gangbangers from California don't like blacks. I'm just tired of but 75% of Hispanic gangbangers from California don't like blacks. I'm just tired of why lie?
No, he's being honest about that. He's being honest, because if you go to the Avenues gang, I did a story yesterday, they was committing a lot of racially motivated hate crimes against blacks. And these wasn't just individuals doing dumb stuff. They got orders from their big homies in prison to cleanse their community of blacks, ethnic cleansing. That's what was going on in Northeast LA, the Avenues area, the 90s and early 2000s. Ramona Garden housing projects, when they firebombed the apartments of black civilians, that is what you call ethnic cleansing. And they get the word, listen, their homies in prison give them the orders to do that. These people ain't just acting on their own because they feel like it. They're taking orders from the homies that gave them the approval. Their big homies sanctioned that particular attack. So there's a pecking order. It comes from the top, it goes all the way down to the bottom, and the foot soldiers carry out the orders. Who are the foot soldiers for the big dogs in prison? The Serranos and the Southsiders are the foot soldiers to the big dogs in prison. You already know who that organization is if you've been tapped in with Red Supreme and a lot of other West Coast brothers that's very connected to the street culture. So the foot soldiers are the ones who are taking the orders, carrying out the orders from the big dogs in prison. This is not a street punk who decided to just say, I'm going to do this on my own because I feel like it. They can't do that. The orders got to come from the top. And the orders come from the top all the way down to the bottom to the foot soldiers who carry out the orders. Come on, homie. I know what I'm talking about. In Torrance, there's a lot of racially motivated attacks against black civilians in Torrance. Hawaiian Gardens, the same thing. Azusa 13 in the San Gabriel Valley, right NK. The Lungos in Long Beach, the Mexican gang in Long Beach, they write NK. Canoga Park gang in the San Fernando Valley, they're NK, they attack. So you got a lot of Southsider, El Monte Flores, La Puente, El Monte. These are areas that are notorious for committing hate crimes against black civilians. So when we say that 75% of Southsider Serranos don't like blacks, that is an accurate and true statement. If you're from Los Angeles and you've been in these different areas, you know I'm telling the truth. Anyway, man, let's get back to the content, though.
They don't like a Hispanic gangbang
Out there.
and I'm sorry to be the one to say this, but 75% of Hispanic gangbangers from California don't like blacks. I'm just tired of why lie? They don't like us. We're not gonna and I'm not saying I have a problem with the Sorellos or the Mexican gangbangers, but
no, I got a problem with anybody that hates my people. So what do you mean you don't have a problem with it? If you're saying 75% of them don't like you, and we know they've committed a lot of racially motivated attacks that's racially driven against black people, and we know the orders come from the top to the bottom, who carries out the orders? The foot soldiers, the Southsiders. So how you gonna say you don't have a problem with them when you know they're taking orders to harm people who look like you just based on their skin color? There's no black gangbangers in the Avenues territory. There's no black gangbangers in the Ramona Gardens. You got a lot. Listen, let me think about it. Let me get in tongue tied. Let me slow it down. Anytime you go to areas in Los Angeles County that's predominantly Mexican, Latino, that's where you find the most racist Mexicans at. And what's crazy about that is they don't even live around black people. There's no black population there. There's no black gangs. You go to La Puente, ain't nothing but Mexicans and white folks out there for the most part. A sprinkle of black people. El Monte, ain't no black gangs out there. Mexicans. East LA, the same thing. Northeast LA, the Highland Park, Avenues gang, ain't nothing out there but Mexicans. Azusa 13. So follow me when I say this. Those are some of the most racist Mexicans you could ever run into, and they don't even live around blacks. So you say to yourself, where do they get this mindset from? They don't live around black people, so why are they so racist? Because they've been indoctrinated to be racist against black people. They take orders from their big homies in prison, and we already know those are anti-black politics. Those politics are rooted in anti-blackness. Can't do this with blacks. Can't do this with blacks. But you can go to prison and share the same side of the yard with whites. And that's not to say that Mexicans and whites don't get into it sometimes. But the reality of it is they formed a loose alliance with the white boys, and they can share items with them. They could kick it with them. They can do things with whites that they can't do with blacks. So when I tell you they have anti-black politics, I'm not making this up. It's a known fact. It's no secret. This is not rocket science. We're not dealing with intelligent people who are rocket science. This shit is basic, average, like a sloppy Joe sandwich. This information is common like Thai ramen. It ain't hard to crack. It's easy to see. So when they try to pretend like these gang and prison politics are so complex, it ain't complex at all, homie. It's very simple. You're not dealing with people who are highly intelligent. They might be intelligent on a criminal level, but when it comes to cracking the code, it's so easy for law enforcement to infiltrate this. It's so easy for any individual with a decent amount of common sense to see it for what it really is. So when a lot of gang members try to make it say, "Oh, you don't know this," bro, that's you're not involved in something that's high tech that only a rocket science or only a genius could crack the code. No, a person with basic common sense can crack the code and see it for what it really is. So don't let people say, "Oh, you really don't know." Listen, it's not complex. It's pretty simple. Anti-black racism is pretty simple. It's not hard to see. It's not hard to crack the code. You can see it for what it is.
No, they don't like me. I know they don't like us. So, of course they're going to try to act like they like us to get on our platforms and to be a part of our rap culture. Of course they're going to act like it, but in reality, they I'm just tired of, why lie? They don't like us. Like we're not gonna and I'm not saying I have a problem with the Sorellos or the Mexican gangbangers, but I know they don't like me. I know they don't like us. So, of course that they're going to try to act like they like us to get on our platforms and to be a part of our rap culture. Of course they're going to act like it, but in reality, they don't like us. They don't, bro. So it ain't even no point, what I'm saying, to even be fake with that, bro. 75% of Sorello gangbangers don't like us, don't like blacks, bro. And that's just the way it is, bro. I know that, like, it's been many a times, right? Let me give you one of my experiences. They'd be cool when it's just you and them, or it's just two of them, but most of the time just them. But as soon as they get in the crowd,
they don't like black people. Like they're some of them will pretend to be cool with you because they want to be in hip hop. Bad. They want to be embracing hip hop culture, so they'll pretend like they don't have a problem with black people. My thing is this: if you don't like black people, why do anything that black people do? Stay away from the music. But the music is so dope that you can't stay away from it. If you go to East LA, El Monte, La Puente, they don't like black people out there. But what are those young Mexicans doing out there? Rapping, trying to be in hip hop. So you come from anti-black politics, but you're mimicking the same people that you hate. Make it make sense. That is a sickness at that point. Once you begin to mimic the same people that you hate, that is a sickness. That is a mental illness. And more people need to start calling that out. It is a mental illness and a sickness when you begin to imitate the same people that you hate. It's crazy.
they homies, they're gonna turn on experiences. They'd be cool when it's just you and them, or it's just two of them, but most of the time just them. But as soon as they get in the crowd of they homies, they're gonna turn on you if you're the only one like you there, bro. You're gonna feel the shift in their energy, bro. It's not gonna be the same person they was when they was by themselves, bro. They act funny when they get with their people, bro. That's just the fact. That's just the facts, bro. And this ain't me bashing nobody. It's the truth.
Why though? Like it seems such
Because that's
like
how they
an
were
outdated
raised. Look,
situation. Like why is it still like that?
That's how they were raised, bro. That's their household, bro. Like Mexican fathers, Hispanic fathers do not want their beautiful Hispanic daughter laid down with a black dude, bro. Look at that. That is a Hispanic father's nightmare.
That is true. And that is a Hispanic father nightmare. Now, he not gonna really trip if she get with a white man, but if she get with a black man, oh, that's a major problem. He even Lefty Gunplay. You didn't hear Lefty Gunplay say, if my daughter came home with a white man, I'll be like, what the hell? Nah, he didn't say that. What he said was, if my daughter come home with a black man, that's a problem. Now, it's natural for everybody to want their daughters to be with their own race. I'm not mad at that. I don't get mad when white men say I want my daughter to be with a white man. I don't get mad when I hear a Mexican man say he wants his daughter to be with a Mexican man. I'm not tripping off that. This is what I'm talking about, though. Mexicans really don't have an issue with their daughters getting with white men. They only have an issue with their daughters getting with black men because of the anti-black racism that's in their culture. They have anti-black politics, and anti-blackness is a part of their culture. If you don't believe me, study Latin America and the anti-blackness that comes from that culture. You're gonna say, damn, Red giving you the facts. Exactly. So
how they were raised, bro. That's their household, bro. Like Mexican fathers, Hispanic fathers do not want their beautiful Hispanic daughter laid down with a black dude, bro. Look at that. That is a Hispanic's father's nightmare.
But how come in Texas you can see there's issues sometimes, right? But
I can't
for the
speak on
most part,
Texas.
when it comes to like hip hop and the streets and anything like that,
I'm from LA. I don't know,
blacks
but
and
the
Hispanics
Texas,
the Mexicans in Texas, they got some racist Mexicans out there too, but they're not controlled by the Mexican mafia like the ones in California are. Southern California Mexicans, right? Anytime you fall under a structure or dictatorship or dictatorship, you're going to take on their ideologies, their philosophies, and that's just giving you the honest, hard-hitting facts, right? Like the Black Panthers had, they were revolutionary. They had black ideologies that was rooted in revolutionary tactics. This is why the BGF was more of a threat than the Mexican Mafia or the Aryan Brotherhood. See, the Mexican Mafia and the Aryan Brotherhood, they were just criminal organizations. The Black Guerrilla family had black ideologies that was rooted in revolutionary. And think about it like this. The BGF is a spinoff of the Black Panthers. It has similar ideologies. The federal government did everything in their power to shut down the Black Panthers because the Black Panthers was unifying black people globally, not just in the United States. The Black Panther was unifying black people globally with a revolutionary mindset. And blacks who are conscious and revolutionary, that is a threat to the federal government, which is why J. Edgar Hoover and the federal government did everything in their power to shut the Black Panthers down because they were that powerful. They had so much influence. They was going to change the world. They was going to change this nation. The federal government saw that, so they did everything in their power to destroy the Black Panthers. See, they'll let white supremacist groups thrive. You can say FN words all you want. Those white supremacist groups are still around. Have you guys ever asked yourself, how come the KKK is still around, but the Black Panthers ain't around no more? I think you know the answer if you have common sense. The Ku Klux Klan they were nothing but a bunch of racist, degenerate rednecks. That's all they are. Now, the Black Panthers, on the other hand, they was unifying black people. Black people began to govern themselves. What do you mean, King Supreme? When the Black Panthers was around, they provided daycare services for women in the community who needed daycare services while they went to work to provide their children. You didn't call the police back then. You called the Black Panthers when something happened in your hood. The Black Panthers patrolled the neighborhood. They had free lunch. They had clinics. So black folks began to govern their own communities. So white people looked at that and said, hold on, black people are creating their own government. See, white people always wanted us to be dependent on them and their system. Once they saw that blacks were becoming independent, that became a threat to the federal government. Blacks who are independent, that is a major threat to the federal government. That is why J. Edgar Hoover made Black Panthers public enemy number one, because black unity and black progress is a major threat to America and the federal government. That's why they did everything in their power to dismantle the Black Panthers from the inside out, because it was that much of a threat to the America power system. That it was that much of a threat to the power structure in America. White folks wanted blacks to remain a permanent underclass. They want black people to be dependent on them and their system, because if you depend on them, that means they control you. White people knew this. They said the moment that blacks become independent, we can no longer control them. And that was the federal government's biggest fear, that blacks will become independent and start making their own decisions. We'll start governing our own communities. We'll operate independent of the white government, and they feared that. That's why I say the BGF was way more of a threat to the power structure in America than the Mexican mafia or Aryan Brotherhood, because they had revolutionary ideologies. They were unifying black people globally, and that was a major threat to the power structure. Let's get back to the content, though. I'll dive into that a little bit later.
They get together. They get along. You know what I mean?
The Texans, because they're more like blackwashed Hispanics. You know what I'm saying? They're like blackwashed Hispanics. You feel me? They're not feel me, straight up essays like the ones out here in California. Like, you know what I'm saying? Feel me? But that's just the truth of it. Like, you know, I understand, and I have to accept the fact that 75 to 80% of Sudanio gang members do not like.
We know the Crips had their own organization, the Blue Notes and all that, the CCO, the Blue Notes. You know, you had the bloodlines for the Bloods, and then you had the UBN. I'm talking about the Black Guerrilla family had revolutionary ideologies. It wasn't based on no street gang stuff. It was about black revolutionary. It was about black consciousness and blacks becoming more revolutionary to defend their community from outside forces. That was a major threat. Now, let me tell you this. The reason why some people say, well, blacks must be scared, because people look at it like, well, if Mexicans in East LA are firebombing black people's houses, what are the Crips and Bloods doing about it? See, when the Black Panthers was around, they would have went to go see about that. They would have went to go see about that. Because it ain't about, oh, these ain't my homies, they ain't from my hood, so I don't care. No, those are black people, so we're going to go over there to see about that. Same thing with the avenues, attacking random black people just for living there, shooting them for no reason because they don't want blacks in their community. The Black Panthers would have went over there to see them about that. See, Crips and Bloods only care about their hoods. If it don't affect their hood, they really don't care. So that's not a strength. That's not a sign of blackness right there. That's you saying, I only care about my individual hood. I don't care about what happens to black people over there or over here because it didn't happen to my homies. That's what I mean by gangbangers got to stop putting a rag in their gang before they blackness, because listen, if you truly care about black people, like I said, if the Panthers was around, they would have went over there to see about that. Seriously. Black unity is way more of a threat than some gangbangers on the street corner or just trying to run a hood that they don't own nothing in. Gangbanging is not a threat to the federal government. Yeah, they'll lock you up and throw you in the prison to make money off of you, to get free labor from you. Yeah, they'll lock you up for gangbanging, but gang members are not a threat to the federal government like the Black Panthers were, like the Black Guerrilla family was. Gangbangers are ignorant, and for the most part, they only care about what goes on in their hood. The Black Panthers cared about black people all across the city, black people in every community, and they felt it was their job to protect them. That's what you call standing up for blackness. That is what you call power to the people. But when you're only concerned about what happens in your hood, then it weakens you as a race. Because when you lack structure and unity, that puts you in a vulnerable position. You're telling outsiders, well, we can harm your people over here. You ain't gonna care because it didn't happen to somebody from your hood, so you don't care. That separation and division. Now, black people who live in these other areas, they're vulnerable because they know black people ain't gonna come together to protect black people in general at all costs. They know that, so they prey on that weakness.
Like blacks. And if they and I'm speaking on even these rapper ones, bro. Feel me? Like I said, they're gonna be respectful and be manipulative and act like they like us to be on our platforms or to get features or to be accepted in the rap because, like, you know, blacks got the keys to the hip hop shit. They know that. They can't just be a blatantly NK with a killer, you know what I'm saying, and think they're gonna be they can't just blatantly come out and say I don't like blacks and think they're gonna be a rapper. They can't do that, bro, because we run hip hop. You understand what I'm saying? So, you know, of course, they're going to act like they like us to deal with as far as the music thing. But in reality, them and their homies, 75 to 80% of them don't like us. That's just it. It's just the facts, bro, and everybody gonna agree with me with this, bro. They don't like us, bro. Feel me? They don't like us, bro. They don't like us, bro. I don't care what nobody say, bro. They don't like, just like shout out Rich Rabbit too, homie. Just like Rich Rabbit from Playboys, LA.
Yeah, make sure that you guys bless the like button. We got a lot of hate watchers, you know. We got a lot of hate watchers. Bless the Cash App. Bless the Cash App.
He's a black Southsider. They couldn't wait to throw him away. They couldn't wait. You know what I'm saying? They couldn't wait till he sneezed wrong and they gave him the boot. And I'm gonna keep it real. Probably the scariest thing to be is a black Southsider, man, because you wouldn't know, because you're not getting away with anything, bro. I don't care what.
See, you might not like Snoopy, and I'm not dealing with Snoopy because Snoopy is who he is. I'm dealing with his talking points. I'm dealing with the messages. I'm dealing with the message. Sometimes I don't shoot the messenger. I'm dealing with the message. Is he saying some things that make sense? Absolutely. Hold on. He's saying a lot. Excuse me. Hold on 1 second. He's saying a lot of things that make sense, regardless of who he is as an individual or regardless of his reputation. He's saying a lot of things that are actually true. Now, why would you become a black Southsider? It makes no sense. When you know Mexicans, Southern California Mexicans align themselves with whites against people who look like you. So to be a black man and join a Mexican gang to become a Southsider, it's like, man, that's the worst thing on planet Earth. Look at everything that black people went through. Look at everything that we fought for. Black people fought for the civil rights that everybody benefit from. When Latinos and Africans and immigrants come to this country, they have civil rights, not because they don't have civil rights because they fought for them. They have civil rights because we fought for them. See, when the LULAC organization, was speaking for Latinos and Mexicans, they were fighting for Mexicans and Latinos to become legally white. They never said we're going to fight for people of color and minorities to have the same opportunities as Anglos or Europeans in this country. That's not what the LULAC organization fought for. LULAC organization, the League of United Latin American Citizens, LULAC. They fought to be recognized as white in the census. They didn't fight so that people of color could be recognized and have the same opportunities. That's not what they fought for. Now, our civil rights leaders, your Malcolm X's, your Martin Luther King, your Medgar Evers, and the Black Panthers, and a long list of others, they fought so that not only black people, they fought so that black people and people of color could all have civil rights in this country. So when black people fought for civil rights, we wasn't just thinking about ourselves. We was thinking about all people of color having equal rights in this country. When Latinos call themselves fighting for rights, they didn't fight for the rights of colored melanated people. They fought to be legally white. They fought for white acceptance. And if you don't believe me, study the history. Study American history. You're going to say Red telling the truth. The truth can never be considered disrespect because the facts are just the facts. So Mexicans did not fight for the civil rights of people of all color. Mexicans fought, and not just Mexicans, Latinos, they fought to be recognized as white in the census. Because in their mind, they felt like the only way we will have equal opportunities in this country, we got to be classified as white. And that's what they fought for. Now, if you want to get mad, get mad. I don't get it. I don't give a damn. I'm telling the truth.
Nobody, they're not letting you get away with anything. It's gonna be somebody from your hood that just don't want you around, bro. And that's just how that go.
Now, every other race fight for them. Latinos fight for themselves. Asians fight for themselves. Foundational Black Americans are the only group that fought for all minorities and people of color. We're the only group who did that. When in reality, we should have never did that. We should have fought for our people and our people only. Because when Latinos and Asians fight for things, they fight for things to benefit themselves and themselves only. When foundational Black Americans fought for civil rights, we included everybody that was a minority or a person of color, which in reality was one of the biggest, that was one of the biggest mistakes we ever made. Because we fought for the civil rights of a bunch of people who really don't even like us.
Snoopy, I want you to clear this up too. Now, the impression online is that when it comes to the prisons too, like the blacks have to take like a back seat to everybody. Is that true from what you've seen?
What you mean? Well, when the blacks got to take a back seat, what you mean?
Yeah, like they're actually getting, not, man, I don't want it to sound worse than what it is, but the impression, like with Charleston White, he said that basically, on the West Coast, like you guys kind of like the black folks, they kind of have to like in prison, they have to be scared of like the Mexicans and stuff.
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this. The Hispanics, the Hispanics outnumber the blacks everywhere.
Yeah. Okay.
It's always it's a lot of them. They outnumber. They're everywhere on the streets. They're everywhere in the schools. They're everywhere. They're all in the prison system. They're everywhere. It's just more of them. But far as me saying that they punking the blacks, like it's just more weakness that's obvious within the black cars than it is in the Hispanics, bro. The Hispanics are just more structured than blacks. You got the black card is cut up in like 50 million different cars of bum niggas. Like I'm just gonna say it, bro. Like niggas ain't niggas. Like niggas bums, bro. Like them niggas don't want to go to war with them SAs, bro. Niggas don't want to go with them niggas. I'm gonna keep it real. Like I be thinking most blacks is scared of they scared of him. Because like the SAs, like let me give you a scenario, right? The SAs can.
That's not really structure, that's dictatorship. When you a Southsider, you got to give people in prison a percentage of whatever you making, right? So you call it structure, I call it dictatorship. I would never give guys in prison that much power over me. I'm not going to sell dope on the streets and pay taxes to a group of people who don't really care about me, who only see me as a foot soldier. I'm not going to pay nobody taxes. That's a pimp. That's a pimp and a thought relationship right there. You make the money, you give me a percentage. I don't play those type of games. I'm not going to share my earnings with somebody in prison. I don't know you like that. I don't rock with you. If I go to prison, I'm doing the time, not you. So why would I give you a percentage of my earnings from the dope or whatever I'm selling on the streets? That is what you call extortion. So you might call it structure. I call it dictatorship. I call it extortion. I don't know why street gangs would even give a prison gang that much power over them. There's way more Southsiders than these people who run these prison gangs. So why would we listen to a group of people in prison? Why would we let them dictate our program or tell us that we must give them a percentage of our dope earnings? That's crazy to me. Black gangs ain't gonna go for that. See, people talk stuff, but they don't all structure. No, that's called pimping. You pimping. Black gangs will never give a percentage of their earnings from drug sales to a damn prison gang. We'll never do that. I'm not going to give a prison gang that much power and jurisdiction over me. Hell no. You call it structure, I call that dictatorship. I call that extortion. Now, it'd be one thing if you go to jail and you all pitch in, we all pitch in to feed the homies in our race who ain't got no money on their books. That's different. We are feeding the people in our race who ain't got, that's one thing. But if I'm selling dope and I'm hustling on my own, I'm not going to give you a percentage of my package. I would never operate under that type of dictatorship. I would never do it. I don't see how anybody does. Now, we can work together for the betterment of our people, but I'm not going to give you a percentage of my dope earnings. Absolutely not.
Okay, a black hood can have been in LA for years, decades, right? Blacks is scared of they scared of him. Because like
they're not scared of them, man. You know, a lot of LA gangs that went to war with Mexicans, so they're not scared of them. There's just a lot of things that they need to get together. they're not scared of them. The 18th streets moved in the jungles, right? And they were trying to sell dope. Well, they was selling dope. The jungle said, man, y'all can't do that over here. You got to shut that down. The Mexicans got bold, and the Bloods gave them the boot. It was a lot of shootouts. It was a lot of things that took place after that. The Bloods applied so much pressure that they booted the 18th streets up out of the jungles. But see, this is why people say, okay, blacks got to get it together. A Mexican gang will never let you start a hood in East LA. A Mexican gang will never let blacks start a hood in Pico Union. The Mexicans in El Monte would never let a black gang start a gang in a barrio because they're racist and very territorial. So the jungles was thinking, right, like, no, we're not finna share this hood with you. Absolutely not. So they did the right thing by giving them the boot. Like, hell nah, take that back to Pico Union, take that over there back to y'all clique. See, blacks weren't racist like that. So when Mexicans started, like, think about it like this. You got Mexican gangs in East LA that's been there for a long time. Some of them been around for like 90 or 100 years. Now, in black areas, it wasn't really like that. You had Mexicans starting barrios and black hoods, and blacks should have did the same thing. Like, listen, this is why I'm trying to tighten up my black people. Let's say you a blood gang in South Central. You're not going to let Crips start a gang in your neighborhood. You're going to apply so much pressure to get them out of there because you're going to perceive that Crip gang as a threat in your community. So you're going to run them up out of there. So why would you let Mexicans start a barrio in your hood? You're like, hey, homeboy, it's all good, but y'all can't start no gang over here. Every black gang in Los Angeles should have warned essays, you can't start no hood over here, homeboy. The same way we can't start a hood in East LA, same way we can't start a hood in El Monte, you can't start no hood over here. That should have been a mentality of every black in South Central, Compton, Watts, or wherever, whatever section you from. Because Mexicans for damn sure ain't gonna let you start no barrio in East LA. They ain't gonna let you start no hood in a barrio. Let me put it like that. Same thing with the Hoovers. I spoke on this yesterday. When the Hoovers DP one of their homies for robbing that Mexican vendor, you know what they should have did? This is crazy. Let me say this to my black people. I'm gonna say this to the Hoovers, and I'm gonna say this to my black people. If you're not gonna DP your homies for beating up black people and robbing black people, you ain't got no damn business beating up your homies for robbing a Mexican in the community. You ain't seen the Hoovers beat up their homeboys or discipline them for robbing black people or unaliving other black people. You didn't see that. But you're gonna discipline them for robbing a Mexican. Now, I'm not saying that robbery is okay. I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm here to make a point. If you're not going to discipline your homies for robbing other black people, why would you discipline them for robbing a Mexican? Make it make sense. This is why people from the outside looking in say, okay, they must be scared of them. You ain't DP your homies for robbing black people, but you're going to DP them for robbing a Mexican. So when people see that, that's when they start to say, oh man, you black, y'all must be scared of them Mexicans. Or when you let Mexicans start a barrio in your hood and you don't run them up out of there, that looks weak. Because we all know if you go to a Mexican stronghold, a predominant Mexican community, they're not going to let blacks start a gang in a barrio. They're not going to let that happen. They're going to do everything in their power to shut that down. And blacks can do the same. Crips ain't going to let no blood start a clique in their hood. They're going to shut it down. Bloods ain't gonna let Crips start a clique in their hood. They're gonna shut it down. But Bloods and Crips have allowed Mexicans to start barrios in their hood. And from the outside looking in, it looks weak. Because if you're gonna attack black people for selling drugs and trying to establish themselves in your hood, you should have did the same thing to Mexicans. Because at that point, it ain't racial. We're not gonna let no Mexicans start no gang over here. We ain't gonna let no other black people start no gang over here. If that was the mindset, then I would understand it. But when you only press black people for trying to start a hood in for trying to start a gang in your hood, then that's how it looks from the outside looking in. Now the jungles, the Black P Stones had the right thing in mind. They had the right thing in mind. The Black P Stones is like, nah, we're not finna share our hood with these essays. They got to get up out of here. They got to go. They got to go. They got to get up out of here. You got listen. When I hear people saying, "Oh, we cool with 18th Street," they're not cool with you, bro. They're only cool with you because of the numbers you have over there. If the Hoovers tried to start a Hoover clique in Pico Union or in one of those 18th Street barrios where you don't have black people, you're gonna see how cool they really are with you. Then you're gonna really see how they truly feel. But the Black Pea Stones kicked 18th Street out of the jungles, man. It just is what it is. They kicked them out of the jungles. They were selling dope. They were getting too wild. They were getting too wild. They was doing too much. So they said, no, y'all got to go. Y'all got to get up out of here. See what I'm saying? Bounce. The Mid-City Stoners tried to start a hood in Bounty Hunter hood in Watts and Bounty Hunter Bloods. They was doing racist stuff. The Bloods and Watts gave them the boot. They gave them the boot. Right? Let's get back to the content though. So all I'm saying is this: if you're not gonna DP black people, if you're not gonna DP your homies for robbing black people, what do you look like DPing them for robbing a Mexican? That looks crazy.
Say it's like let me give you a scenario, right? The essays can okay, a black hood can have been in LA for years, decades, right? Soon as an essay buy a few houses on the block in a hood, guess what? Now that's they hood. Y'all gotta share the hood with the Hispanics. And the blacks don't go to war with them or nothing. I didn't see blacks not even go to war with them, right? Feel me? And when they do go to war, they always be friends with them first, right? But let a black family move on the block and say, man, we started our own crew right here. This our hood too. They're going to be trying to mark them out, shoot them out, punk them, do every most blacks be cowards, bro. Black gangbangers.
That doesn't even make any sense.
That's what would happen. Most black gangbangers are cowards. That's why they're gangbangers. That's why they're gangbangers and they marks. What you say?
So you would treat your own people differently than you would treat anybody else.
Boy, blacks are scared of everybody but their own people, bruh.
That's wild,
They
man.
scared of
That's
everybody
wild.
but their own. They not gonna do nothing, man. Any one of these hoods, a Hispanic can set up shop in their hood right there and then. All them black gangbangers gonna work their way around them, bro. That's what I be trying to tell them, bro. The streets is dead. Ain't no street code. All this shit is an illusion, bro. Feel what I'm saying? Gangbangers are cowards, bro. If you a threat and they know they can't get away with, they gonna leave you alone, bro. Why you think gangbangers are scared of the police? Because why you think they're scared of the police? Because they know they not ready to fight them or shoot it. They not ready for that, bro. They scary, bro. For me, it's that slave mentality that's embedded in our.
That ain't just gangbangers, bro. If that's the case, that ain't just black people. If that's the case, why are Mexicans so deep in prison? Obviously, they locked it up. They didn't go to war with the police. So you can't call them scary for that. Because if that's the case, you wouldn't have no Mexican gangbang. The Mexican mafia wouldn't be in prison. They would have went to war with law enforcement and said, okay, we're willing to die for what we believe in. So it makes no sense to say that. If everybody was so bodied, if everybody was just riders, you wouldn't have nobody in prison. Why? Because everybody would be willing to go to war with the police. You wouldn't have a prison population. Everybody would just say, F it, we're going to go to war with the police. Prison is slavery. Let me tell you something. Prison is the closest thing to slavery on planet Earth. So if these gangbangers and mafia members were so tough, they wouldn't lock it up. They're going to say, well, I rather perish and lead a planet before I be enslaved by law enforcement. So every gang member would go to war with law enforcement and you wouldn't have no inmates in prison. If everybody was just so bodied like that.
DNA, bro. We are scared of authority, bro. We're scared of authority. Let's look at a black person. Try to tell a black person, can't tell me what to do. You get what I'm saying?
Well, Snoopy, I gotta chime in there because
I don't know why you guys keep saying scared of Mexicans. If anything, Serranos are scared of the Mexican mafia. Why would they pay them taxes? So if you want to talk about somebody being scared, why don't you talk about your people being scared of a prison gang? You got thousands of Southsiders, and they pay taxes to a group of people that's not even that deep. So it's safe to say that Mexicans are scared of their own people. They're scared of the big dogs in prison. Because why would Mexican Southsiders pay taxes to a prison gang? So if you're going to talk about being scared, it's safe to say that they must be scared. Because one thing that Crips and Bloods ain't gonna never do, they're not gonna pay taxes to a prison gang. They're not gonna pay taxes to not even from people in their hood. They're not even gonna pay taxes to big homies in their hood. So you know they're not gonna pay taxes to a prison gang or to a prison organization. So you could easily say Southsiders are scared of the Mexican mafia, which is why they pay them taxes. Now you could say, oh, they do it out of loyalty. Loyalty for what? Do you really think a bunch of guys serving life in prison really cares about you? You dumb if you believe that. They're using you for foot soldiers. They're using you for their own benefit. They don't care about you. That's not structure. That's not organization. That is extortion. That's exactly what it is. It's called extortion. You got to be stuck on stupid if you think a bunch of guys who serving life in prison really care about you. How dumb you got to be at that point if you believe that.
All that don't go on like in the South. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
Man, I know, I've
not
been
even
there.
close. Like, it's like
I
not even,
love
that
black
would
people.
never happen.
I love black people on the East Coast, the Midwest, and the South. I love y'all. I love all y'all. I love, like, I've been to different places and I just see, black people on the corner selling things. Like the black people in Philly and on the East Coast is what the Hispanics is here. It's just blacks everywhere. And it's beautiful, bro.
All right. Enough of that. Enough of that. Shout out to Desmond Hill. Now, people say, well, this is all you talk about. Well, you guys listen to channels every day that talk about tethers and African immigrants. You listen to that crap every day. Or you listen to channels that gossip about gang politics every day. So why do you have a problem with the stuff I talk about? Why don't you tell your favorite content creators stop talking about gang politics in prison every day? Why don't you tell some of your other channels stop talking about Africans and tethers every day? You still listen to that. So if that's the case, don't come over here telling me what I should be talking about. Be quiet.
And I love the way, they really with that black shit. You know what I'm saying? And I respect it. And I want to say this too, right? And I noticed the Bloods on the East Coast is way more structured than the Bloods in LA. I don't understand why the East Coast Bloods even pay these Bloods in LA.
They're not loyal and stick together, man. Listen, do you know how much the Hispanics stab each other and victimize each other? See, a lot of you people are not from the streets, so you don't know what you're talking about. Some of you people who are from the streets, you're clueless as well. Nobody harms Mexicans more than Mexicans. Nobody harms black people more than black people. That's the reality of it. But at the same time, we're not going to ignore these racial conflicts. We're not going to ignore that at the same time.
Any attention because they would smash these dudes out, bro. And I wanted to say that, bro. Like,
let me bring up a fact that I know a lot of you people don't have enough common sense to even process this information. Do you know that Los Angeles is over 50% Latino and only 8% black? And blacks still have neighborhoods and still have hoods and still go hard in the paint when it's time, when things are ready to get cracking. Now you show me a city in America where blacks are 50% of the population and Latinos are 8%, and those Latinos go to war with blacks. You're not going to find a city like that in this country. You're not going to find it. If Los Angeles was 50% black and 8% Latino, do you think there would be a such thing as racial conflict? Give me your honest opinion. I want to see if you guys are going to be honest. Los Angeles is 50% Mexican, Latino, and only 8% black, and blacks still go to war with Mexicans, regardless of those numbers. Regardless of the numbers, we still gonna do it. We'll do what it do, right? And some areas in LA, you got a lot of blacks. So don't think that we're just outnumbered everywhere. There's certain pockets of the city where blacks have major strongholds, and this is a known fact. But I said it before and I'll say it again. If Los Angeles was 50% black and only 8% Mexican Latino, do you think Mexicans would be trying to do some ethnic cleansing and predominant Mexican communities? Do you really think they would try that? It would be unheard of. If you're being honest with yourself, that mindset would be unheard of. You wouldn't even hear about Mexicans being racist in Los Angeles if it was 50% black and only 8% Latino Mexican. There would be no such thing as racial conflicts if those numbers was the other way around. Even with blacks being 8%, we still done a lot of damage to certain groups and gangs who opposed us. We done a lot of damage, regardless of us only being 8%. But if Mexican Latinos was 8% and blacks was 50%, you wouldn't even hear about racial conflicts in Los Angeles. Blacks would be just focused on each other. I hate to say it, but I gotta say it. If Los Angeles was majority black, that homicide rate would be stupid high, because blacks would be so focused on one another and unaliving each other. Sad, but very true. If Los Angeles was 50% black and 8% Latino, the murder rate will be a whole lot higher. Because think about it like this. When Los Angeles had a bigger black population, it had way more homicides. It was way more violent than it is today. This is just a known fact. When Compton was majority black, it had a higher homicide rate. When South Central had a bigger black population, the homicide rate was out of the world. So if Los Angeles was 50% black, I'm sorry, man, that homicide rate would be crazy. Los Angeles would look like Chicago if it was 50% black. Let me take that back. If Los Angeles was 25% black, the homicide rate would be out of the, it would be crazy. Let's say LA was 25% black. You wouldn't even hear about racial conflicts then. Racial conflicts will be at a minimal if LA was at least 25% black. And you know I'm telling the truth. You can't show me one city in this whole country where Latinos are like 8% of the population and blacks are 50%, and you got Mexicans talking about some ethnic cleansing. We don't like black people. You will never see that. They only try that in places like Los Angeles because they're 50% of the population. But if those numbers were the opposite, there would be no such thing as racial conflicts, I promise you. And I don't care who gets mad. I'm just giving you the irrefutable facts.
East Coast Bloods will smash these dudes out. These dudes in LA is lazy gangbangers, bro. They are not aggressive like y'all think they is, bro. These dudes ain't ready. Look it, homie. We dealing with gangsters that's used to sneaking in somebody's hood, popping shots, or murdering somebody and running off and hide from doing it. We not dealing with dudes that's used to combat. We not dealing with these youths that's used to being on offense. We not dealing with these dudes, bro. We not dealing with them type of dudes, bro. We not dealing with a dude that can shoot at somebody that's shooting back at them, bro.
If Los Angeles was 50% black and 8% Latino, you wouldn't even hear about no racial conflicts. Everybody with common sense know I'm telling the truth. And why am I the only person that's saying that? It's not rocket science, it's common sense. Show me any city across America where Mexicans represent 8% and they want to go and they have all this animosity towards blacks as 50% of the city. You're not going to see that. They're going to mind their business and stick to themselves. It's easy to poke your chest out when you're 50% of the population and you're going to war with a group that's only 8% of the, that's easy to do. So no, blacks are not scared. The thing about it is California has been moving blacks out of the city. California has been, doing everything in their power to decrease black populations, not just in Los Angeles, all over the state. So these racial conflicts, think about it. You didn't start hearing about these racial conflicts into the 90s, to where that's when a lot of the racial demographics began to shift towards Mexicans and Latinos' favor. And once their numbers got bigger, that's when you began to see a lot of their hatred and animosity towards black people. If you go back to the 80s and the 70s, you didn't really see that because it was too many blacks for them to try to press a line like that. Now, as times progressed and their numbers got bigger and bigger and the black population got smaller in certain areas, that's when you began to hear about some of these conflicts. But don't get it twisted. Blacks didn't say, okay, we don't want no smoke. No, what I'm telling you is this. These racial conflicts became common once they began to overpopulate certain pockets of the city. That's when you began to hear about a lot of racial conflict.
These dudes don't know what it's like to be in a shootout. They used to being sneaky, pulling up at somebody's hood, busting at them or knocking one down and going off the high, bro. They not ready to go against the boogeyman with the same tools they got. We dealing with marks in LA, bro.
You can't really say that. See, Snoopy has an issue. I don't have an issue with my people. Now, I do call out the foolishness, but Snoopy has a problem with, black people. Apparently, it's mainly like Bloods and Crips because Snoopy feels like a reject. He feels like his people don't accept him for whatever people. Some people say he got a snitch jacket. Some people say he's a hood hopper or whatever it is they say. Snoopy is not accepted amongst a lot of blacks in Los Angeles. So, of course, he's going to have a lot of disdain and hatred towards a lot of Crips and Bloods for that particular reason. Now, let's put all that stuff aside. Let's put all our feelings aside. When you think about Snoopy and his character and his reputation, let's put that aside. I'll say that 80% of the stuff that he said was true. Now, when he said that Crips and Bloods are this, some of the stuff was untrue. But I would say that 80% of the stuff that he said was actually true. When he said that Southsiders don't really like black people, they pretend to be cool with us because they want to get in the rap business, that is an actual fact. That is an actual fact. When he said that blacks have allowed Mexicans to start barrios in their neighborhood, but they would never let another black crew start a hood in their neighborhood, that is actually true. That's an accurate and true statement. So he's not wrong about everything he's saying, just like he's not right about everything he's saying.
That's wild, man. Now that's probably gonna go crazy soon.
No, this is the truth. We dealing with bust. These dudes are busters, bro. Feel me? They talk about we got these.
All right, let's go to my man's right here.
Victorville Federal Correctional is who Hot Wheeler Media gives credence to. Let me give y'all a little education in this street shit. South Central LA, Compton, Watts, Long Beach, Gardena.
Shout out to Damo and Keyway Conversations, man.
Inglewood, right? Hawthorne, right? See, you can't give credence to and have any credibility when you're dealing with a reject. You know what I'm saying? Oh, he's a reject for real. Not one time, not two times. We already showed y'all that he was a failed gang member, right? And you know what?
Well, DC is not on the border, man. It's not a border state. So when you guys say that, you have to understand Washington, DC is not by the Mexican border. So they can't overpopulate DC. They can overpopulate Cali because Cali shares a border with Mexico. That's why they're so large in numbers out here, because of the proximity to the border. Close proximity to the border. We share a border with Mexico. So when you guys say this, you're just, you really don't know, you're not making sense. If Washington, D.C., let's say California was on the East Coast and Washington, D.C. was on the West Coast. Let's say Washington, D.C. shared a border with Mexico. The same thing would be going on in Washington, D.C. The only difference is you guys are way on the other side of the country. You don't share a border with Mexico. That's why you guys are not really affected by this like California has been affected. This is why. But don't think for 1 second that the same thing wouldn't be going on if DC shared a border with Mexico. Let's be real.
What's good? Sometimes a failed gang member is the best. You know what I'm saying? Being a failed, I was a successful gang member. You know what I'm saying? I knew how to sell dope. I knew how to rob banks. I knew how to get G-rides. I got strikes. I know how to catch my man and get away with it. You know what I'm saying? And I did a whole bunch of my life in jail. I'm 47 years old. I've spent over 26 years of that 47 years.
That is true. Detroit got a higher murder rate per capita than Chicago, and Detroit is like 70-something% black. That is a true fact. Detroit is like 70-something% black. You know, that is true.
Incarcerated. That's what a successful jail gang member looks like. Don't want to be like me. Trust me. It don't have no retirement plan. And majority of niggas, when you be all you can be and do everything you're supposed to the T, they got no retirement plan, no pension, medical, dental, none of that. You know what I'm saying? But one thing is for sure, two things is for certain. And when you wake up in the
MS-13, they're newcomers to Washington, D.C. What you guys don't understand is Mexicans don't run black neighborhoods. You know, they might have numbers, but they don't run Crips and Bloods in L.A. at all. See, a lot of you out-of-towners, you guys don't know because you've never been there. You're just going off of goofy things that you might hear in the media. And a lot of that is inaccurate. But let me get back to what I'm saying. Yeah, man. Hit the like button. It ain't nothing. Go ask the 20s. The 20 Bloods ain't scared of no Mexicans. The Crips in Long Beach ain't scared of Mexicans. So this is it's false. This is false information. Now, what he should have said is they need to be more militant. They need to have more unity amongst each other. If you're 8% of the population, if you're 8% of the city's population, then you ain't got no business going to war with one another, especially when you're going to war against a bigger group. And that's not to say that all blacks and Mexicans are at war with each other, because that's not the case. You got a lot of Mexican and black hoods who don't have no smoke with one another, but at the same time, you do got a lot of Southsider Mexican gangs who are racist. And I did a good job at calling that out: the Hawaiian Gardens, the Avenues, the Azusa 13s, 204th Street in Torrance. Is that Torrance or Harbor City? I believe it's Harbor City, the 204th Street gang. Tortilla Flats in Compton, they're racist. The Longos in Long Beach, they're racist. Hawaiian Gardens are racist. Mexican gangs in La Puente are very racist. Mexican gangs in El Monte are very racist. A lot of Mexican gangs in East LA, very racist. Northeast LA. So we got to be real and call a spade a spade. We can't afford to sugarcoat none of this. It's best to just be honest about what's really going on. A lot of Mexican gangs, and listen, most of your racist Mexican gangs, these are gangs who don't even live around black people. They're not even in black populated areas. But these are some of the most racist Mexicans you can find. East LA, some of the most racist Mexicans come from that area. Same thing with La Puente. Same thing with El Monte. Same thing with the Hawaiian Gardens. Same thing in certain pockets of the San Fernando Valley. Same thing in certain pockets of the San Fernando Valley. If you go to Pico Union, that's close to downtown LA. They're not gonna let no black start no hood over there.
morning, you can look in the mirror and know that you still.
Same thing for Whittier. It's a gang in Whittier. They don't like black people out there in Whittier. And the list goes on and on. So for black people to ignore this racism that's coming from the Mexican community, that is crazy to me. To ignore that is crazy. You mean to tell me you so focused on hating other black people that you ignored this blatant racism coming from these people?
On everything that you believed in and what people told you you're supposed to stand on. And that 99% of them same niggas couldn't even wear your chucks. Not for a mile, let alone a lifetime. So here goes Snoopy rat ass, self-proclaimed Hollywood Pyru. This is the guy that they giving. That's not Hollywood Pyru. That's Snoopy badass Paris neighborhood Crip. Womp, womp, womp.
I think Snoopy Badass was just looking for somewhere to belong. It's like you claiming Crip, then you claiming blood. That's bad. Like I say, I don't agree with. I do this content because I take the real and I throw out the fake. Some of that stuff Snoopy said was true. Some of it was bunk and boo boo. Right? Some of it was bunk and boo boo. Now, when I said that blacks, and this is the gang mentality. If you're not gonna let a black gang start a hood in your neighborhood, why let a Mexican crew start a gang in your neighborhood? Make it make sense. If you're not gonna DP black people for beating up and robbing other black people, why would you beat them up for DPing? Excuse me. If you're not gonna discipline your homies for robbing other black people, why would you discipline them and beat them up for robbing a Mexican? It makes no sense. Do you think Mexicans in East LA will beat their homies up for robbing a black person? Absolutely not. Do you think Mexicans in El Monte will beat their homies up for robbing and jumping on a black person? Absolutely not. They're not going to do it. So why should blacks beat up their homies and DP their homies for robbing a Mexican if you're not going to beat them up for robbing a black person? Make it make sense. That's all I'm saying.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. That blog gave this weirdo a voice to talk about who's scared and who's not. You talking some real rider shit to a bust and running with his word. In fact, giving wings to his word. Shame on you. But don't stop there. Paris Linwood. Then you got Snoopy Badass, the same guy. Hit that like button. Hit that like button. Snoopy went from blue to red, and that is frowned upon heavy. Salute.
Yeah, Snoopy is out of pocket for that. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, this is what you call a hood hopper. You know, you was in Riverside, the Inland Empire, then you came to Compton and you start claiming Pyru. So yeah, there's I can see the flaw in his character. This is why I take it with a grain of salt. Like he can, if he say something that makes sense, I'll be like, okay. But at the same time, I don't ignore a lot of these things either. Let's get back to the content though.
To the Blue Ridge Mile, Carolina Connect TV. Salute. Let's look at this one. So from Paris neighborhood Crip, he goes to Sex Cash Mafia gang. I never even heard of that. But salute to them brothers. Might be in the Inland Empire. I'm not familiar. No disrespect. Sex Cash Mafia gang. 4s and 2 3s. Look at it. This is Snoopy rat ass. Sex Cash. He just changed colors again. DK, SSKEK. He's extra out. This is what his heart was. But first he was Paris neighborhood Crip. Then he turns to that. Right? Then he's over here.
Are people getting blocked from the channel? Let me check something out, man. I'm getting word that somebody's being blocked. And let me see. Let me check on this, man, because I ain't orchestrating none of this. I'm so busy focused on the content, you know. So if you blocking random people, then I don't know who that is. You're gonna get dealt with for that. You know, there's a lot of funny. So I don't know how some of this stuff is going on, but yeah. Let me see. Yeah, we're gonna figure it out, man. Let's move on.
Throwing up Harlem 30 Crips. Papa Dirt, why you didn't?
Snoopy, this looks bad on you, Snoopy. It's like you claiming this set. Nah, bro. Well, maybe the Pyrules didn't know. My thing is this: why would you put somebody on that's been from all these different hoods? My thing is this: if you didn't grow up in that hood, you ain't got no business claiming that hood. If you're gonna claim a gang, the thing is you should have grown up in that neighborhood. If you didn't grow up in that neighborhood, then why do you want to claim a gang? You didn't even grow up with these people. You met these people when you were in your 20s or late teens at best. Anything, man. We're trying to elevate past gang banging because I'm trying to get our people to see the bigger picture. You got to stop saying, well, it didn't happen to one of my homies, so it doesn't matter. That shows weakness. When the Black Panthers was around, they didn't say, well, they harmed a black person in this neighborhood. They didn't harm a black person in our neighborhood, so it didn't matter. That's not how the Black Panthers got down. Once you became an enemy to black, you was an enemy to blackness. We didn't say, well, that happened over there, so it don't matter. They didn't harm nobody in my hood, so it's all good. The Black Panthers didn't have that mindset. And the federal government saw that as a major threat because they saw the Panthers unifying black people everywhere under one umbrella. There was no separation. There was no division. The Black Panthers was unifying black people under one umbrella, the umbrella of blackness. That's the only thing that mattered. That was a major threat to the power structure. That was a major threat to the federal government. Now, when you got gangbangers gangbanging on blocks and they don't care about black people 10 blocks over, that's divide and conquer. That's not a threat to the power structure. Gangbanging is not a threat to the power structure. If anything, you guys are going to fill the penitentiaries and the cemeteries, and they benefit from all of that. So gang members are not a threat to the federal government at all. Now,
Tell me this nigga was banging Deacon Park, my nigga. Is it Deacon? He might have been claiming 39th. You know what I'm saying? On the Avenue. I don't know. But he was claiming Harlem, Montclair, Chino, Riverside. Right? This dude is about 17, 18 years old. Those the classes in the street game that you graduated from School of Hard Knocks. Yeah, that's a fact. You know what I'm saying? Bang that like button. He need at parenting class, niggas like Snoopy and CS2 and 600, those niggas all failures, so they make up gang hoods and stories. Man, this is a fake wannabe. Why? Right? 100 Brick City. Look, my lifetime, the OGs, I've seen the real ones and really did it in the end of the day career. They ended up with a good job. God bless the real ones, man. God bless the real ones. You know what I'm saying? That's Slide Blue News. You know what I'm saying? Hey, listen, I didn't know nothing about all that. Salute, man. P. White, salute, man. Sending niggas on missions, right? Calling meetings, DPs, handing them out.
so listen, man, this is what we're going to do. I think I didn't shout out to Duke Sims. I didn't know Snoopy was claiming Harlem 30s. I knew he was claiming other gangs, but I didn't know that. So that looks bad right there. That looks terrible. That looks terrible. It looks horrible. You know, you claiming all these different sets. Yes, Snoopy can say some things that are true, but he's not the right person to say this because when you look at his background, you're like, damn, bro, you didn't claim all these hoods in different sets. People really don't want to hear that coming from you. Let's get some more people to bless the show, man. How come we got less than a handful of people who bless the show? So what do we got? Seems like we got a lot of trolls and hate watchers. That's what I noticed with this channel more so even my first channel. It's a lot of trolls and hate watchers. You got a lot of people who just, you got a lot of people. Not only do they not bless the super chat, they barely hit the like button. So we're going to get to the bottom of that, man. I got to eliminate some people, bro, because there's some weird stuff going on. So I got to do some more cleaning. I got to get rid of some people and bring in some new people. That's all that's telling me. A lot of people who, if like people who ain't bringing value over here, you got to go. You got to go. If you're blocking people for no reason, I'm gonna get rid of you as well. Now, if you're blocking people for legitimate reasons, then it's all gravy. I'm gonna get to the bottom of this. Soon as I'm done with this show, I'm gonna check my YouTube studio and I'm gonna see who got blocked and I'm gonna see why they got blocked. And we're gonna clean house. We got to do some early spring cleaning on this channel, man. Early spring cleaning. Jealous of y'all. What do you Luke Roman? What do Mexicans have that black people are jealous of? I'll wait. What do Mexicans have that blacks are jealous of, sir? Hopefully you can say something that actually makes sense. Seriously. I bet money he's not gonna say anything that makes sense. He ain't gonna say anything that makes sense. What do Mexicans have that black people are so jealous of? I'm waiting for your answer.
Right? See, someone of that caliber, a rep, a joint, them the type of niggas that can speak on those type of shit. Hood generals, black captains. Niggas have been tried and tested through warfare. Nigga that's seen decades plus on war on the street and war inside them jails. I witnessed it all. I lived through it all. And I left unscathed. So we finna get into some more of these films. Then I'm gonna take that mask all the way off at even the notion that YNs, that brothers, fear anything. I met some Crips that I went to war with together against essays that I would call my comrades today, that I thank God I understood and met them dudes in camaraderie, standing as black men. And this notion that Crips and Bloods don't stand for their blackness, nah. They able to walk and chew bubblegum at the same time. See, the Crips and Bloods I know don't give a fuck about shit.
All right, enough of that. There's a lot of... Yeah, I got to fix some things going on behind the scenes. It'll get fixed. It'll get fixed with no problem. Listen, I don't do these streams to spread to create division, because we already have division. So I don't need to do this for division. Division is already there. Right? No, black people are not afraid of Mexicans. Black people just didn't see the bigger picture. While we were so busy being nice to one another, it goes back to our civil rights leaders. Our civil rights leaders fought for the civil rights of people who didn't even like us. So when Mexicans were moving to black neighborhoods, black people didn't say, hey, man, let's get them out of here. You can't start a gang over here, which that's exactly what they should have did, because if blacks were being mindful and thoughtful, they would have said that, you know what? They would have said, you know what? If we can't start gangs in East LA or Pico Union, then they can't start no gangs over here. See, black people, you gotta listen, black people, you gotta treat people the same way they treat you. If you can't start a hood in East LA, then there's no way that they should be able to start a Mexican gang in a black neighborhood. That should have been out. That should have been frowned upon. If you're not going to let a black gang start a hood in your neighborhood, then why would you let Mexicans start a gang in your neighborhood? That looks weak. Now, I know it don't come from black people being scared. Black people never looked at Mexicans as a threat, so they really didn't trip off of it. But in reality, they should have tripped off of it, because if you can't start a gang in a predominant Mexican community, then Mexicans should never be allowed to start a gang in a predominant black community. You got to treat people the same way they treat you. That's all I'm telling my people. I'm not telling you to hate nobody. I'm not telling you to have negative feelings towards anybody. You got to give people the same smoke they give you. That's all I'm saying. If we can't start a hood in East LA, then you can't start a Vardio over here in our neighborhood. As simple as that. Every black gang in Los Angeles should have had that mentality. I said it before and I say it again. If you're not going to discipline your black homies for beating up and robbing other black people, then you ain't got no damn business disciplining your people for robbing a Mexican. If you ain't going to discipline them for robbing a black person. Hopefully that makes sense to people who lack common sense.
They don't give a fuck about no motherfucking crazy riders, easy riders, hard piece.
Oh, the crazy ride. Yeah, all that, right? That was a mistake that black gangs made. You let Mexicans start Vardios in your hoods, but Mexicans will never let you start gangs in their Vardios. So that was a major mistake on black people's part right there. But see, black people wasn't being racist. So contrary to popular belief, black people never hated Mexicans. Black people never looked at Mexicans as a threat. This is why black people never said, okay, we need to shut them down before they start a gang in our hood. They didn't look at them as a threat. That's why blacks allowed certain Mexicans to start Vardios in their neighborhoods, because they didn't look at them as a threat at that particular time. That's all I'm saying. So if you're not going to DP black people for robbing black people, what do you look like DPing black people for robbing a Mexican? That's all I'm saying. Hopefully that makes sense. I don't agree with people robbing anybody. I don't rob people. I hustle and get money. I don't rob people. I don't care if they're white, black, or Mexican. I don't rob people. That's not my get down. That's not my MO. I always been a player, a Mac, and a hustler. But I'm speaking on things that make sense. I'm speaking on things that make sense, and I'm calling out the things that don't make sense. That's all I'm doing over here. Lucro, man, he's just trolling. He's just trolling, begging for attention, man. So I don't agree with the robbery of anybody because I don't rob people. I don't care what race they are. That's not my MO. That's never been my get down. I don't rob people. So I've never been with that. Some people are hustlers. Some people are robbers. Some people are simps. Some people are maxing players. It just all depends. I'm gonna get up out of here, man. I think I done said enough today, man. Make sure that y'all let me see them likes, man. Because I'm definitely gonna shut this show down. We already. Let me see. Let me look at them likes real quick. How many likes we got for this show, man? 266 out of 300 something plus people watching. We could do a whole lot better on those likes. We can do a whole lot better, but I ain't tripping. It is what it is. He said, talk about Flacco. Flacco, I don't have a problem with Flacco. Flacco is a content creator and he speaks on things that he feel that will he speaks about things that he know people want to hear. He know people want to hear these things, so he speaks on these things. You know, that's what he does. So I don't have a problem with Flacco. Flacco is just being Flacco. You can't put your hood, listen, if you put your hood business on the internet, don't get mad when somebody has an opinion about it. So when gangbangers tell people, man, you don't need to be speaking on hood, but man, shut up, you sound dumb. If you don't want nobody to have an opinion about your hood politics, stop gossiping about your hood politics on the internet. As simple as that. How you gonna talk about something publicly, but then get mad when somebody has an opinion about it? You sound dumb at that point. You talk about somebody with a damn low IQ. Keep your hood business off the internet if you don't want nobody to have an opinion about it. But you're not going to keep your hood business off of the internet because you're using hood politics to make money. You're gossiping about hood politics to make money. So you're not going to keep hood business off of the internet. So if that's the case, stop getting offended when people have a damn opinion about it. Let me get up out of here, man. Peace to everybody that's been rocking.